Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ormond Beach, a welcoming community of compassion and acceptance. I am Ludi Goodson, a member of this congregation and of our choir. Excuse me, and I invite you to our virtual worship service this morning. Our minister is the Reverend Kathy Ricky, and she's on leave this week. Today, Kathy Jackson, our office administrator, is hosting this virtual service, and Catherine Neal is with us also supporting the technology operations. Our in-person discussion group and worship are suspended at this time as we continue to hold virtual services every Sunday until it is safe to hold large group functions again in our building. During the service, it is best for everyone to remain muted other than those who are speaking as part of the service. So if you can look at your own microphone, and if it looks like you're on, try to mute yourselves. That would be so much more helpful. Now I want to go ahead and invite you to sing along in just a moment here. From you I receive, and to sing it 3 times. I'll get this music going here.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
And now on to announcements for the good of our community. For now, the Zoom link for Sunday mornings will be the same each week. And this is to make it easier for you to access Sunday morning discussions as well as the Sunday morning services. And that link is on our website at uuormond.org. We have an announcement from Julie Hilburn due to COVID-19. She says, we haven't yet scheduled our usual fall rummage sale. We remain concerned about the health of our whole UU community and fragile family members. And so it is best to hold on to what you've collected for now. And we ask you to please hold your calls to the office asking for volunteers to pick things up until we receive the all clear from the Board of Trustees and Reverend Kathy and wait for volunteers to again feel that it's safe to begin collecting items from your home. They will let you know when the rummage sale is rescheduled. And another announcement from Julie is the Board of Trustees will meet next Thursday, August 20th at 5:30 p.m. And if you'd like to attend, contact Julie so you can get the Zoom link because it'll be a Zoom meeting and all members are welcome to attend. And we have an announcement about God's Bathhouse. God's Bathhouse will be in our parking lot on Friday, August 21st from 10 to 11 a.m. And they will be giving clothes, toiletries, and gift cards for food to the homeless, and the special shower truck will be on display. Donations in advance may be given to Robbie Zarsk or Helen Casoli. Now, our last announcement, I'm going to just skip over to that, concerns our offering and pledges. And it brings attention to them. And this is a little different from the way that we usually do it. But we want to remind everyone that the offering and pledges they allow us to exercise our generosity of spirit and support for this congregation and its many ministries which continue even though we are not meeting in our building. So we still need your support. And if you'll go to our website at uuormond.org, you'll see you have multiple ways to make a contribution toward your pledge, one of several credit cards or using PayPal, and that's the fast way. Or you can send your contributions with a stamped envelope, which is what I do. Whatever way you choose, your gifts will be most gratefully received. Now, at the sound of the chime, our service begins. For our prelude, we have Crystal Sky, performed by Janet Strumpus. Our call to worship today comes from Mary Oliver, an American poet who has won many awards, including the Pulitzer Prize. And she had cancer twice in her lifetime, dying of lymphoma last year in her Hobe Sound, Florida home. This poem is titled, Why I Wake Early.
Why I wake early. Hello, sun in my face. Hello, you who make the morning and spread it over the fields and into the faces of the tulips and the nodding morning glories and into the windows of even the miserable and the crotchety. Best preacher that ever was, dear star that just happens to be where you are in the universe to keep us from ever darkness, to ease us with warm touching, to hold us in the great hands of light. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Watch now how I start the day in happiness, in kindness.
Now, while I like this chalice, I invite you to light one at home if you have one nearby, and if you like. So I light this chalice, a single flame, which I hope kindles many hearts this morning, and wish that this flame unite us in virtual community and remind us of each other's presence as we worship from many singular rooms. Let this flame inspire us, inspire in us faith and courage to face these difficult times. Let this flame be our guide in making sense of a chaotic world, and let its light show us the way to beloved community, both near and far. And please join in saying our congregational covenant. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our aim, to dwell together in peace and freedom, to seek the truth, and to help one another. These are our goals. And now we want to share the joys and concerns that have been submitted this week. I think you already heard about the concern that Marilyn Doctor expressed. She and Arden, both having respiratory infections, and Arden also has a urine infection, and he tested positive for COVID. So they are quarantined, and their daughter, who is his caregiver, has it too, and she's gotten really sick. Marilyn is waiting on test results for her. Yesterday, I have a concern. I met a couple of different friends, one who was, wearing an appropriate kind of mask, and then another who was not. And I just, it's a personal concern for me, because I don't want my friend to either share that virus with someone else or to get it from someone else. And then I was also reading about what kinds of masks are most effective. And the disturbing thing I read this morning was that, the kind that goes around your neck and that you pull up actually is not very good, because what it does is it changes, the fabric changes the larger droplets to the lighter ones, which then can get out, and then they can stay around longer. So that's what we have for the major concerns. We didn't have certain joys submitted this week, but we know you have joys and concerns. And we know that even though those are yet unspoken, we want to share a prayer for the ones that are already expressed and those that are not yet expressed. Spirit of life and love, bless us this day with the understanding that joy and woe are woven fine, that whosoever brings us tears also brings us great joy, that the hours before dawn are often the darkest. Spirit of life and love, bestow upon us the peace which passes our understanding. so that hope, faith, and love may fill our hearts and still our worrying minds. Spirit of life and love, in this difficult time, bid us to strive for our best selves each day. Let our striving be for justice, equity, and compassion in our human relations. Inspire us to create beloved community in ever-widening spheres. Spirit of life and love, we give thanks for this precious day and for all that is our life, for we know that our life is a gift freely given, unbidden, and unearned. We give joyous praise for this, our one precious life. Amen. Please join in singing Spirit of Life, performed by Janet Strumpus. Here we go. Today, for our special music, we now have Jan Taylor, and she gives us her interpretation of a song by Phil Ochs, who years ago gave us this message. In such ugly times, the only true protest is beauty.
There's no place in this world where I'll belong when I'm gone. I won't know the right from the wrong, and you won't find me singing on this song. I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't feel the flowing of the time. All the pleasures of love will not be mine. My pen won't pour out a lyric line when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't breathe the brazen air, can't even worry about my cares, and I won't be asked to do my share. I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't be running from the rain, can't even suffer from the pain, can't say who's to praise and who's to blame. Guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't see the golden of the sun, I can't even, the mornings and the evenings will be one. I can't sing louder than the guns. Guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. All my days won't be dances of delight. The sands will be shifting from my sight. Can't put my name into the fight. I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't be laughing at the lies. Can't question how or when and why, and can't live proud enough to die. Guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. There's no place in this world where I'll belong when I'm gone. I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone. You won't find me singing on this song. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here.
Thank you, Jan. I love you. And I just want to make sure you know that we appreciate your wonderful talent, your willingness to perform live for us today, your warmth and your joy, and this thoughtful reminder to do the right things, to laugh, dance, love, and sing while we're still here. Today, 4 members from our community share their stories of living with cancer. Ludi Goodson, Harry White, Linda Kalajian, and Ellen Nielsen. "4 years ago, a mammogram tech called me back as I was leaving the dressing room, and I felt a Ferris wheel kind of fog roll in. She needed another image. A week later, a larger one. Then came a winter chill. Oh, it was October in Fort Wayne, but it was an unexpected question. Would I want a marker inserted in my breast during the biopsy so the surgeon could find the right spot in case surgery would be needed? According to the biopsy handout, I'd be comfortable, so I also wasn't ready for that cold, sterile table and the long, uncomfortable position while someone I couldn't even see stuck in the core needle from under the table. In the next week, a very gentle voice softly explained the diagnosis. And then I began investigating reputations of surgeons. My primary physician never hesitated to cut through the fog. I selected my birthday as the big day and prepared to go it alone. My friend Anna said, "You will not do this alone. I'm taking you to the hospital and staying with you through the surgery." She hovered like a butterfly over flowers and told everyone it was my birthday, and never had so many birthday wishes in one day. Before surgery, a mammogram technician rolled me in a wheelchair to another room, and she wouldn't let me stand up, so it took 3 times for her and the radiologist to lodge my breast in place. And between each try, my gown fell down, and she rushed over to lift it back up. The radiologist crouched down, his head looking up at my breast, where he would insert a needle at the marker. Well, that's if he could find it. Then he'd insert a wire through the needle. Now, this would let the surgeon know where to remove the breast tissue. And I thought, oh my, I do hope he gets it right. Well, he missed 3 times. And between each time, my gown fell down, and the tech who was viewing the images for correct positioning in another corner of the room would run over and pull it back up. And I finally said, "Oh, forget the gown. I don't care if I'm naked. Just let's get the wire in the right spot." As I lay flat under the sheet with the guide wire on my breast, the surgeon arrived. My friend Anna asked if he'd had a good night's sleep. I had to smile. Tissue from the surgery would later undergo further analysis. Was the tumor hormone receptive? Its size? What nuclear grade? Were surgical margins wide enough to cut it all out? How do radiation, chemo, and hormones compare to the risk of cancer? What's the recurrence score? Medical journals and others who'd gone through this helped me choose what to do. After returning to Holly Hill in late 2018, as I added shelf paper, I'd stand up and repeatedly hit my head on one of the shelves. In February 2019, a dermatologist performed a biopsy for a scar. A month later, he said results were ambiguous, and I was referred to a surgeon for further analysis. The surgeon said, "I don't know why you're here because I can do nothing for you." And I said, "Well, I thought it was just a scar." "No," he said, "it's a lymphoma." The dermatologist had not told me. Now, angry, I demanded a copy of the lab report, and it clearly reported a B-cell lymphoma. I called my primary physician's office at least once a day, usually more than once, for weeks on end to try to move along the lab report and the referrals. I actually had to name the person finally who was the correct referral. 6 months later, Steve came with me for the molding of the Freddy Krueger style mask that I'd have to wear over my head during radiation. Gaia went with me for the final marking of the lymphoma, now 3 times its size. Steve drove me to daily radiation. Gaia when he had to miss. Hugs, caring words, friends, Zumba pals. My vision of Cliff pressure washing away the cancer cells all kept up my spirits. I'm okay now. In sum, for me, living with cancer means taking charge and living with the people I love. Our next story comes from Harry White.
It took me a while to get unmuted here, so I'm sorry. My story. Well, let me read it here. Good morning. I'm Harry White. I'm 83 years young. My cancer story is one of joys and concerns. First, the concerns. Cancer is a word you fear and never want to hear. Each of the following concerns ends in a joy. My mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, had a radical mastectomy, a breast surgically removed, and was given massive doses of radiation that burnt and scarred the area where her breast had been. We were told that she would live, but they couldn't predict how long. She passed away in 1974, not of cancer. Her heart gave out. In 1950, my maternal grandfather was diagnosed with terminal leukemia and told he didn't have long to live. Doctor said a new experimental drug derived from World War I mustard gas appeared to be helping leukemia patients and offered it to him. He tried it. It was an early experiment with chemotherapy. Grandpa died 5 years later, not from leukemia, but from a broken heart after losing his beloved wife of 55 years. In December 2011, as part of a physical exam, my doctor detected a growth in my colon. A follow-up colonoscopy detected cancer. In February of 12, surgery removed a segment of my colon. I woke up to learn it was stage 3 cancer. I had an ostomy that would have to use until my colon could be repaired. I began 6 months of chemo, and in 2013, my colon was repaired. The use of the ostomy was stopped. 5 years had passed, the magical anniversary for cancer patients. In September of 17, I was in the ER for a chest pain. They took an x-ray. It revealed lesions on my ribs indicating cancer. A blood test revealed a PSA of 24. A biopsy showed Gleason 9, an aggressive stage 4 cancer. I was devastated. The Grim Reaper was at my door. Lee and I cried in each other's arms. My oncologist said hormone therapy showed promise, but it was expensive. I checked with my health insurance company. A 30-day supply was $12,000, $400 a day. But fortunately, I have a copay of only $50. After 3 months, my PSA was back in the normal range. Therapy is medical castration, eliminating the testosterone that prostate cancer requires to grow and spread. There are side effects, hot flashes, and other female menopausal-like symptoms. My PSA is now 0.064. That's the lowest a lab can measure. I'm alive today thanks to my faith, medical science, my wife Lee, and my attitude. So in this past July, I had blood drawn for a DNA analysis to determine if there was any genetic evidence that my 3 biological children should be aware of and share with their doctors. I've done that, and I've shared it with them, and now it's in their ballpark. How long will I live? I don't know. But each day is a blessing, and I plan to live them to the fullest. My message to you, be positive. Seek medical advice if you're concerned about anything. Visit your doctor at recommended intervals. Ask questions. Follow the doctor's advice. No one wants to hear that they have cancer, but most cancers, early detection and treatment can be life-extending or life-saving. If you have any questions or want to talk, please call me or email me. I was in a cancer support group. It helped me, and I'm here to help you. My phone number and email address are in the membership directory. Our next story comes from Linda Kalajian. Unmute,
Linda.
Linda.
Unmute.
Okay, there I am. Okay, well, thank you for for staying home and Zooming with us this morning, and thank you to all of you that have arranged today this discussion. I've been very fortunate. I've had breast cancer twice, but my prognosis has always been very, very positive, and I have actually been grateful, and I have had wonderful insurance coverage. The first time was 20 years ago when I was living in California. I was on an HMO that very same day that I was diagnosed with breast cancer. The same day, March 17th, my mother was diagnosed with, she fell down and broke her hip. So I spent that year doing shuttle caregiving between California and Florida. We were both on HMOs, so neither one of us could move back to the other person's home. But as I said, I was lucky. I had it in my one breast. I went to see the surgeon on one of my trips, and all he said was, well, do you want a mastectomy or a lumpectomy? So I said, lumpectomy. I don't see any reason to remove it if it's not absolutely necessary. I had infiltrating lobular carcinoma that first time. It was stage 1. It was 1.6 centimeters. I did use 2 books that were very helpful to me. One is called Keeping Your Breasts by Susan Moss. It's highly touted by many people, including Deepak Chopra. And the other book, Dr. Susan Love's Breast Book, also an excellent resource. Helped me a lot. I was able to stay pretty calm during the whole thing. I didn't need chemotherapy, but I debated radiation for a long time. And I found out that there's an annual conference at the Sheraton Universal Hotel every Labor Day with all kinds of alternative treatment presentations, including trips to Mexico, to clinics. And I went and learned as much as I could before I finally decided to have radiation. That was my first experience. And I was fine after that. 20 years later, 2 years ago, I had another mammogram that showed that I had, this time, invasive ductal carcinoma in the other breast. Thank goodness I only have 2 breasts. And this one was 1.5 centimeters. Oh, I didn't start my timer. I was going to time this. Anyway, this time I had also had an excellent prognosis, but I was asked to do intraoperative radiation so that I wouldn't have to have radiation afterwards. But unfortunately, the surgeon said afterwards, well, I'm not sure that there wasn't a little bit of cancer in your lymph nodes, so I do think you should have radiation just to be sure. So I did end up having pretty much a full course of lower level radiation, and that was 2 years ago. And I've been fine since then. I've been on a anti-hormone blocker, which is supposed to help me. But 3 months ago in May, I had a reaction I had a little bit of an infection at my surgery site, and I have ended up with lymphedema, which is kind of just forward of my armpit. Lymphedema is different from lymphoma. Lymphoma is cancer of lymph nodes, of the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is extremely important. I wanted to share this with you. It is, if in case you don't really know much about it, which doctors don't, it cleanses your system, and it's one of the most important adjuncts to your immune system. So it's very important part of the circulatory system. The lymph has accumulated at the surgery site and has become a very hard lump, and there is signs of it in that area. I have been going to twice a week for the last 6 weeks, physical therapy for lymphedema with these women who have specialized in it. Twice a week, they do a special kind of massage of that area all over the place, and I have tape and other things. And they are working to remove this accumulation of lymphatic fluid that has sort of blocked the lymphatic system in that point. So in case you don't know much about your lymphatic system, watch out for it. If you have surgery, it's one of the things that can happen after surgery, and there isn't usually too much said about it before, especially cancer surgery, because it doesn't happen. It only happens in rare cases, maybe 10%, maybe less, but it is something to look out for. I've been, like I said, very lucky to have a good prognosis. I just haven't let fear enter my frame of reference because of all the success and treatment that there has been over the years. I don't think, like Harry said, there's all kinds of treatments now. They're discovering things like every day. So I'll be available to, after the end of this service, for a few minutes too, if you want to ask any more questions, if I left anything out that's important. And stay healthy. Our next presenter is Ellen Nielsen, and she has had a more recent experience, so we're anxious to listen to her. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Ellen Nielsen. In mid-April, just as we were beginning to understand how the coronavirus pandemic would change our lives forever, I discovered a lump in my breast. I called my primary care doctor, who was able to see me right away. I hoped it was my imagination, but she told me it was real. A mammogram, a needle biopsy, and appointments with a surgeon and a radiation oncologist followed. In late May, I had a lumpectomy combined with a single powerful radiation treatment. Because of the COVID, I had to go alone for all these things. When the pathology report came back, I learned that I was lucky. My tumor was small and it had not spread. I would not need additional surgery, extended radiation treatments, or debilitating chemotherapy. All I needed to do was take 1 pill a day for 5 years and have regular mammograms. Because of recent advances in diagnosing and treating breast cancer, because my cancer had been diagnosed early, I had a very good chance of surviving, and my cancer was not likely to seriously affect my quality of life. During the month and a half before I learned this good news, I was frightened. It seemed like I had been waiting for the other shoe to drop for more than 20 years, ever since my sister Margaret died of metastatic breast cancer. My fear and anxiety bubbled out in a series of poems. It was almost like automatic writing. The poems described the doctors, the medical procedures, and the uncertainty. Almost all of them mentioned the pandemic, which hung over everything like a dark cloud and made even a simple doctor's visit something to fear. At first, I didn't want to tell anyone about my cancer. But after I started writing the poems, I realized that I needed to talk. When I did, I discovered that many people I knew were breast cancer survivors. They just hadn't advertised it. Linda was one of those, by the way. I wrote a poem about this and called it Hibakasha, a Japanese word meaning survivors of the attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You are old enough to remember duck and cover drills and fallout shelters, and that crazy general riding a bomb like a bronco to the end of the world. Later, you were arrested at peace rallies and trespassed at nuclear power plants. You wanted to ban the bomb forever. Why would you want it inside your body? But when you talk to your friends, you learn how many are breast cancer survivors. They just haven't mentioned it before. They offer practical tips and tell jokes. One of them is having radiation treatments now. She can't hug you because of the virus. It feels like your cancer is a rite of passage. You join a sisterhood, still afraid, but not alone. After my discovery that I was not alone, and after I had summoned the courage to share the poems with friends and members of my poetry workshop group, the fear was more manageable. After the surgery, while I was waiting for the pathology report, I was able to move toward a reasonably calm acceptance of whatever was coming. That acceptance is expressed in this poem, Rain Lilies. It's all over? Not yet. You wait for the lab report. You will find out if you need more surgery, more radiation. Meanwhile, rain lilies have bloomed in your backyard. Fragile chalices, ivory, pale pink. You didn't plant them. You don't know how they got there. They just grew. Maybe they will go away as mysteriously as they came. Maybe they will spread. You can't control them. You can only give thanks. And now we will listen to Still, a musical reflection performed by Janet Storm.
Please join me in saying our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. For our benediction, we have The Stream of Life by Rabindranath Tagore. The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the dust of the earth in numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and death in ebb and flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and my pride is from the life throb of ages dancing in my blood this moment. And now for our postlude, we have Only Time, sung by the UU Choir and directed by Dan Kerr.